He didn't just threaten Michael Cole, he looked straight into the camera and told every single one of us that a career was about to end. Not a match, not a rivalry, not a segment, a career. And that's where Raw stopped being entertainment and started feeling personal. Because when Gunther opens his mouth, it's not trash talk, it's a promise. And last night on Raw he didn't roar, he calculated. Cold, precise, surgical, like a man who already knows the outcome. Before we go any further, quick question for you. Do you think Gunther crossed a line, or did he finally say what no one else had the guts to say? Drop your answer in the comments, because this is about to get uncomfortable. Michael Cole has been the voice of WWE for over 2 decades. He's called legends into existence. He's narrated careers, retirements, betrayals and moments that live forever. And Gunther? Gunther looked at that legacy and said, I will end it. Not metaphorically, not emotionally, career ending. Let that sink in, because this wasn't a loud promo. It wasn't some over-the-top screaming match. This was worse. It was calm. Gunther stood there, posture perfect, eyes empty of emotion, and spoke like a man filing paperwork for an execution. And Michael Cole, for the first time in a very long time, didn't talk back. When was the last time you saw that? Quick trivia for you. What year did Michael Cole first become a full-time WWE commentator? No Googling, let's see who the real Ring Rumble historians are. Here's what made this moment explode beyond a normal Raw segment. Gunther didn't insult Cole. He didn't mock him. He didn't raise his voice. He dismissed him. He talked about Michael Cole the way you talk about an outdated system, something that once had value, but now needs to be removed. Gunther framed Cole as a relic, a symbol of a WWE that no longer deserves to exist. And that's what should scare you, because Gunther doesn't see himself as a villain. He sees himself as necessary. Think about it. Gunther isn't chasing approval. He isn't begging for cheers. He isn't even demanding respect. He assumes it. And when someone like that tells you he's going to end a career, that's not arrogance. That's belief. Be honest in the comments. Is Gunther the most believable final boss WWE has right now, yes or no? Michael Cole tried to do his job. That's the most heartbreaking part. He didn't escalate. He didn't provoke. He didn't play the heel commentator role. He asked a question, and Gunther treated that question like an insult. That's the power dynamic shift right there. For years, commentators have poked, prodded, and verbally danced with wrestlers. But Gunther doesn't dance. He stands still and lets you panic. And the crowd felt it. You could hear it in the silence. That wasn't "this is boring" silence. That was "we don't know what's about to happen" silence. Crowd check. Did you feel uncomfortable during this segment, or were you loving every second of it? Let's talk about why this hit so hard. Michael Cole isn't just another announcer. He's WWE's memory. When someone debuts, Cole tells you who they are. When someone retires, Cole tells you what they meant. When history happens, Cole gives it a voice. So when Gunther threatens to end Michael Cole's career, symbolically he's saying something much bigger. I don't need your history. I don't need your validation. I don't need your narration. That's dangerous. Because WWE thrives on storytelling, and Gunther just threatened the storyteller. And he did it without breaking character for a single second. Fun question. If Michael Cole were to be written off TV, who do you think could realistically replace him? Gunther's presence alone changes the temperature of Raw. When he walks out, everything slows down. Not because he's slow, but because everyone else feels small. His words carry weight because his actions always follow. This isn't a guy who makes threats and then loses by a roll-up. This is a man who dismantles opponents piece by piece. And that's why the line about ending Cole's career felt plausible. WWE has taught us to expect chaos when tempers flare. But Gunther doesn't lose his temper. He sharpens it. And Michael Cole knew it. You could hear it in his voice. That slight hesitation. That micro pause before speaking again. That was fear. Yes or no? Did Michael Cole look genuinely shaken to you? Now let's address the elephant in the room. Was this real? Or was this the most perfectly executed work WWE has pulled in years? Because here's the thing, WWE rarely allows threats like this unless there's intent behind them. Not necessarily literal retirement, but consequence. This could lead to physicality. It could lead to someone stepping in to protect Cole. Or it could lead to something even darker, Gunther proving his point by silencing the voice that questions him. And that's where the stakes skyrocket. Prediction time. Do you think this storyline ends with violence or humiliation? Gunther didn't just attack Michael Cole. He attacked us. Because every fan who's grown up with Cole's voice, every moment you remember vividly, Gunther just told you it doesn't matter anymore. That's heat. Not cheap heat. Not cheap booze. This is nuclear, slow burn, long-term heat. And the scary part, Gunther is right in his own twisted logic. WWE is changing. The old guard is fading. And Gunther represents the brutal efficiency of what's next. He's not flashy. He's not funny. He's not begging to be liked. He's inevitable. Quick poll in the comments. Would you rather face Gunther for 5 minutes or listen to him talk about you for 5 minutes? Let's break down the genius of this segment. No physical contact, no brawl, no interruption, just words. And yet it felt heavier than most main event angles. That's rare. That's what happens when you trust a character and let them breathe. Gunther didn't need to touch Cole, because the threat of what he could do was enough. That's how you build a monster. And Michael Cole? He sold it perfectly, not overacting, not panicking, just human. Acting check. Was this one of Michael Cole's best non-wrestling performances ever? Now imagine this. Imagine Gunther does attack someone close to Cole, or forces him into a position where he has to choose between professionalism and survival. That's where this gets legendary. Because if WWE commits, this could be remembered as the moment Gunther crossed from dominant champion to all-time menace. And it started with a sentence. I will end your career. No countdown, no warning, just inevitability. Final stretch question. Should WWE lean even harder into this darker Gunther, or is this already the perfect balance? This is why Ring Rumble exists. To talk about the moments that make wrestling feel real again. Moments that make you uncomfortable. Moments that make you argue in the comments. Gunther vs Michael Cole isn't about a match. It's about power. And right now, Gunther has it. But power always attracts resistance. So the real question isn't whether Michael Cole's career ends. It's who steps up when Gunther decides to prove he wasn't bluffing. And when that happens, you'll remember this moment. So don't forget to comment your thoughts, answer the questions, and share this with someone who felt that tension just like you did. Because this story is far from over. And Gunther? He's just getting started. And that's what should keep every single WWE fan on edge right now. Because when Gunther says he's just getting started, history tells us that someone is about to suffer in ways we don't expect. Let's rewind for a second. Gunther didn't storm the commentary desk. He didn't flip monitors. He didn't put his hands on Michael Cole. And somehow that made it worse, because violence is loud. Violence is obvious. Violence gives you closure. What Gunther delivered instead was anticipation. The kind that crawls under your skin and stays there. Question for you. What's more terrifying, immediate violence or the promise that it's coming? Think about how WWE usually handles announcers. They're protected. They're untouchable. They're the neutral ground. Gunther shattered that illusion with one sentence. By threatening Michael Cole, he told every wrestler in the locker room, no one is off limits. And by extension, he told the audience, your comfort doesn't matter. That's elite villain work. Because now, every time Gunther appears on screen, there's a new layer of tension. Not just who is he facing, but who is he going to target? Comment section challenge. Name one WWE personality, not a wrestler, that Gunther could threaten next to raise the stakes even higher. Let's talk about Michael Cole's legacy again, because this matters. Cole has survived eras. He's adapted to Vince, to Triple H, to different locker rooms, different styles, different tones. He's been booed. He's been praised. He's been blamed for things that weren't his fault. And now, at this stage of his career, Gunther is positioning him as prey. That's not accidental. WWE chose Cole for this because the threat feels real. Not because Cole is weak, but because he's valuable. Ending Michael Cole's career wouldn't just hurt him. It would hurt WWE's identity. Deep cut question. Do you think WWE would ever actually retire Michael Cole on screen as part of a storyline? Gunther understands symbolism better than almost anyone. He didn't go after a rookie announcer. He didn't go after a side commentator. He went after the voice. And that tells you exactly how he sees himself. Not as a champion, not as a competitor, but as a correction. In Gunther's mind, WWE history isn't sacred, it's flawed. And he believes it's his job to fix it. That's why his promos don't sound emotional. They sound ideological, like he's preaching a philosophy and punishment is just part of the lesson. Yes or no? Is Gunther's character smarter than most babyfaces in WWE right now? Here's another uncomfortable truth. Michael Cole couldn't win this confrontation. If he talked back harder, Gunther would escalate. If he laughed it off, Gunther would humiliate him. If he stayed silent, Gunther already won. That's what made the segment so one-sided and so effective. Gunther controlled the pace, the tone, and the outcome. Cole was reacting. And reaction is weakness in Gunther's world. Quick reaction check. Did you want someone to interrupt this segment, or were you glued to the tension? Now let's speculate, because WWE wants us doing this. Who intervenes? A wrestler who respects Cole? A legend defending the old guard? A rising star who sees Gunther as the final obstacle? Or does no one intervene, and that's the point? Because if no one steps up, Gunther's claim becomes true. He becomes untouchable. And that's when fear spreads. Fantasy booking time. Who would make the biggest statement by confronting Gunther over this? Another layer people aren't talking about enough. This wasn't about ratings. This wasn't about shock value. This was about redefining Gunther's ceiling. He's already dominant in the ring, now he's dominant in space. He doesn't need to wrestle to control Raw, he just needs a microphone. That's dangerous territory, because once a wrestler masters both physical and psychological warfare, they stop feeling beatable. They start feeling permanent. Honest take. Do you see anyone on the current roster who feels like a believable endgame for Gunther? And here's where it gets really interesting. Michael Cole is known for professionalism. He's known for restraint. But what happens when that restraint cracks? What happens when Gunther pushes him one step too far? That's the powder keg. Because the moment Cole breaks character even slightly, Gunther proves his point. He exposes vulnerability. And that would be the real career-ending move. Would you want to see it? Yes or no? Should Michael Cole eventually snap on screen? This storyline isn't loud. It's not flashy. It's patient. And patience is rare in modern wrestling. Gunther is being built like a force of nature, slow, unstoppable, and indifferent to the damage he causes. Michael Cole just happens to be the first landmark in his path, not the last. Final comment prompt before we wrap this part. Do you think this angle will be remembered a year from now, or is this just the beginning of something even bigger? Because one thing is clear, Raw doesn't feel safe anymore. And that's exactly how Gunther wants it. Stay tuned. This storm hasn't hit yet, and when it does, someone's world is going to collapse. And we'll be right here breaking it all down.